Oh, hey, it's you again. Back so soon. Absence of evidence. Yeah, absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. I promised to address this in the last video, and then I didn't do that. I forgot. My brain's going a little bit. Actually, I just tried to record this video extemporaneously and failed because I couldn't put it together. But here we go. We're going to try again. Absence of evidence is indeed evidence of absence. So this is the appeal to ignorance, right? So after during the Iraq War, Donald Rumsfeld was defending the claim there were WMDs in Iraq, despite there not being any evidence of WMDs in Iraq. You know, after we sort of illegally deposed Saddam Hussein and look around hunting for WMDs. He says, actually, I have the exact quote if you bear with me, and I've forgotten it. Let me just get that exact quote. Simply because you do not have evidence that something exists does not mean that you have evidence that it doesn't, right? So there's that very smart, clever piece of quotation work. And that is, dude, that's pure sophistry. Remember sophistry? That's when you intentionally use logical errors to persuade somebody that a falsehood is a truth, right? And that, I mean, that's standard debate tactics. That's what we're talking about, is debate tactics. So absence of evidence is not evidence of absence, except this is a weird equivocating argument. It depends what you mean by evidence, right? And anytime someone's saying it depends what you mean by, we might have a problem. If by freedom you mean the government telling you what gender to be, what bathroom to use, who you can marry, what sexual positions you can do, and who you can love, and whether your vote counts, I mean, then yeah, Republicans are the Freedom Party. Sure, absolutely. Evidence. Absence of evidence, well, what Donnie Rumsfeld, what the arguer is really trying to say is the fact that we have not gathered material evidence, the fact that the thing has left no material traces, we've been unable to find them, that doesn't prove definitively that thing isn't out there somewhere. It just means, our search hasn't covered all of the possible hiding places. Okay. But we're using evidence in two different ways here, In a court case, both sides of an argument present evidence, right? And here evidence does not mean definitive proof. Evidence means bits of material. It means DNA. It means video or photographs or testimony of witnesses. And these things are data points, and those data points form a fact pattern, right? And then both sides present their data points and their fact patterns that justify their position, their theory of the case, and then it's up to the jury to decide which fact pattern they're going to believe, and then rule one way or the other, for the defense or for the prosecution. But the standard of evidence here is not absolute proof, because, like, our legal code was written in the middle of the age of enlightenment, the age of governance through reason rather than decree and theocracy. And the people who did the jurisprudence on the first bits of legal code, I mean, they knew that nothing can be proven absolutely. Go back and watch my video series on that, on like how science actually works on epistemology. They knew that you couldn't definitively prove an assertion true. You can just try and tear it apart, put it to the test, see if it withstands scrutiny. And they would trust a jury to go through all that evidence and then make a reasonable decision. So the standard for a courtroom case is beyond a reasonable doubt. Beyond a reasonable doubt, because it's the age of reason and we trust people. We trust people to be somewhat capable of reason, and that's the very best you can do. But also knowing how much harm is done by empowering the legal system to like take away people's life, take away their liberty, which, as Frank Herbert says, is the same thing except as a matter of degree, right? If I put you in jail for 10 years, I've effectively murdered you for those 10 years. It's like a small scale murder. So like the first jurists, if I may paraphrase, because I'm fine with witches actually, they would say something like, it's better that 100 guilty people go free than that one innocent person be executed or imprisoned. That our legal system's built about that. So evidence is doing double duty in this sentence. Absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. Absence of any material leavings okay, Bigfoot. You want me to believe in Bigfoot? Okay, look, bro. All of the hairs, people have had Bigfoot encounters and they say Bigfoot brushed up against this tree and there's hairs and we take those and oh look, there's a stem on this one. We had DNA, and it's a black bear. The blood is from a black bear. It leaves a footprint. And this one guy in like Idaho or something is trying to tell us those creases have to be, those are simian creases. No. The footprints turn out to be a bear steps in some mud and its foot slides forward, and that's why the print is elongated, and that's why it has those creases in it. And like, what kind of animal has the blood of a bear and the hair of a bear and looks like a bear and stands upright like a bear when it's threatened? I mean, Bigfoot, obviously, right? How is it that we have no high quality images of this purported animal, despite every living human in the United States having a high quality camera on them at all times, right? Is that definitive proof that there's no such thing as a Bigfoot? Well, no, but it is evidence at this time. It is proof beyond a reasonable doubt at this point in history that we should spend our time investigating other things. Okay? You're not stupid to believe in Bigfoot. You watch a bunch of shows and listen to people who aren't very educated and whatever. But there's no further reason. What this does is it puts the burden of proof on the person making the assertion, right? The person asserting Bigfoot or aliens or past lives or that Trump is a good man. At this point in history, there's such a dearth of evidence. There's such a lack of material evidence where you would expect to find it after a long, good faith attempt to gather it, that the burden of proof is on the person making the assertion. And so we get at this point to just a rule that things asserted without evidence can just be disregarded without evidence. And there's no evidence of WMDs in Iraq, and there's no evidence of Bigfoot, and there's no evidence. What about eyewitness testimony? Isn't that, well, I mean, it's a kind of evidence, but if we're talking standards of evidence, it's the shittiest kind of evidence. Mm-hmm. Because our senses are imperfect, and our memories are imperfect, and our perceptions are always affected by the way we were educated and the kinds of experiences we have and what we believe. And so it's just been demonstrated that the founders, the people who wrote our the philosophy behind our legal codes, were wrong. I mean, they were right. They knew that eyewitness testimony was not a wonderful kind of evidence, but it was the best we could do. And so they give the defense all of these protections. I guess I retract. The founders weren't wrong. They give defendants all these protections, but it's us who over time have eroded those protections. Actually, 95% of people convicted of a crime never have their day in court. The prosecution is just able to threaten them with all these dire consequences and unsupportable charges and keep them in jail until they can bond out an amount of money they can't afford, and 60 days in the pokey waiting for your day in court while you're not able to earn money, pay your rent, go to work, maintain your relationships, and it's thousands and thousands of dollars to get out. You just plead to a minor infraction to get out of that situation. 95% of convictions are through this kind of plea bargaining system. There you go. I've wandered off topic and rambled, but that in essence is the problem. Absence of evidence of absence. You're using evidence two different ways in the same sentence, and that's just blatant equivocation, right? The fact that we looked for a thing and didn't find it doesn't definitively prove that thing doesn't exist. Yeah, but sometimes it's goddamn suggestive. That's enough for me. Okay, Black Bill out.